Hi, all my students. How are we doing? And what's going on? How have you all been today? School still working? Okay. I hope you're finding time to study because it's very important that you give yourself some time to do your learning. If you still haven't planned, my earnest request to all of you all is please plan your day, plan your week, plan your month, and plan what you are going to do next. Okay, chalk out a program for yourselves. It's very simple. Uh, Monday to Friday. You're going to school, so you have your fixed time for school. You're going for tuitions, you have a fixed time for tuitions. Then, apart from that, you have to keep time for traveling. Apart from that, you have to ensure that you also get a little bit of entertainment because all the time, if you work and study, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So we cannot afford to be dull. So keep some time for yourselves for entertainment also. At the same time, plan in such a way. I think you would require a sleep of not more than 6 to 7 hours. That is more than sufficient. So if you sleep well for 6 to 7 hours, the rest of the day you have lots of time. The day is of 24 hours, and if you minus 7 from that, look at the amount of time you have. How many hours do you have? 24 take away 7 is how much? 17. So we have 17 hours in our hand, and it's 17, right? 24 take away 7, yes, 17. So I'm not very good at maths. So we have 17 hours, and you plan what is your school timing, what is your tuition timing, you plan accordingly. So let's begin. Okay, we are going to continue with our topic on United Nations. In the last module of United Nations, I have explained to you the meaning of United Nations. We've done that, the general part, and we've also done, if I'm not mistaken, I also did with you the human rights, right? I'll just check. I think I've completed that also with you all. No, I didn't do the organs of the United Nations, but I have done the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. That I have finished with you all in the last module. So those of you who haven't seen my last module, please go ahead, click, watch the last module. Okay, and we did mention about the organs of the United Nations. So today we are going to start learning about them. There are basically, if you open your textbooks, you will find that there are basically 6 organs of the United Nations, principal 6 organs. The General Assembly, the Security Council, the International Court of Justice, the Economic and Social Council, the Trusteeship Council, and the Secretariat. Okay, that is where we stopped last. That we learned about we just mentioned the 6 organs, and I told you that today I will be starting with the details. So we are going to begin with the General Assembly first. Okay, you have General Assembly, Security Council, and International Court of Justice, which is given in your syllabus. You are supposed to do the composition and functions of all these 3, and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights we have done last time. So if we do these 3 today, if I happen to finish them in this one module, then this chapter will get over. Okay, let's quickly do it. And please remember to keep your textbooks open even if we are reading through the notes, because we have a lot of pictures to see in the textbook. Okay, because unless you know the textbook pictures, you may not be able to answer your picture questions. Okay, so first of all, I'll give you the notes as usual. So we begin with the principal organs of the United Nations. I hope the light is sufficient and the camera is showing you good. Okay, so let's start. Okay, we begin with the General Assembly. Of course, I'll begin with my notes and then you can read up from your textbook. Keep the textbook open so that we have our pictures in front of us. So let's start with the General Assembly. First, I've given you the principal organs of the United Nations. So, what are the principal organs? The General Assembly, the Security Council, the International Court of Justice, Economic and Social Council, Trusteeship Council, and the Secretariat. Okay. Now, the General Assembly, it is a kind of a world parliament. The General Assembly is like a world parliament. We have done what is a parliament. So, this General Assembly of the United Nations is like a world parliament. And even though it's resolutions which have been adopted by it may not be legally enforceable, but it carries the opinion of the world leaders, so it is very strong. Okay, so you can understand what it means. Okay, it is a kind of a world parliament and it is a deliberative organ of the United Nations. Composition, all the member states. That now see children, here when we say about member states, we are talking about the countries. So all the countries who are members in the United Nations are called as the states, member states. It is not our domestic state as in India. Okay, we are talking about the member states of the UN. That means all the countries are known as states. Okay, so don't get confused. So all the member states here, countries are its members, and each country has got 5 delegates but 1 vote. So each country can send 5 delegates to the United Nations General Assembly, but when it comes to voting, they will get only 1 vote. Okay. Each country has 5 delegates but 1 vote. Then we come to the sessions. September to December is the session. September to December is a regular session which the United Nations has. A special session can be held at the request of the Security Council, and an emergency session of course will be within 24 hours. Okay. Now, what are its functions? To consider and approve the annual budget of the United Nations, to elect the non-permanent members of the Security Council, Trusteeship Council, Economic and Social Council. So, of all these 3, it will elect the non-permanent members. Then it elects the judges of the International Court of Justice. ICSE over here means International Court. Appoint the Secretary General on the recommendation of the Security Council to discuss the working of the different organs of the UNO and to recommend changes if required, to discuss any matter related to international peace and security, to promote cooperation and safeguard the human rights. Okay, this all has to be learnt by rote because they are all its functions and powers. Now we come to the next point, which is there was a Uniting for Peace resolution which was passed in 1950. So in 1950 we had this resolution which was passed in the United Nations. It was called as the Uniting for Peace. And what was it called? And what did that do? The General Assembly has the power to take action in a case where there is a threat to peace or an act of aggression. So if there is an act of aggression somewhere, or if there is a threat to international peace, then the General Assembly can take steps to curb it. Okay, the General Assembly can and under all this happens under what? Under the Uniting for Peace resolution of 1950. Okay, the GA, that means the General Assembly, can recommend collective measures including the use of armed force to restore peace. This step can be taken if the Security Council fails to act and maintain international peace. So if the Security Council fails and it does not maintain international peace, in those circumstances the General Assembly can take the necessary steps. Okay, now we come to the Security Council. It is a permanent executive body of the UN. Who? The Security Council. It is a permanent executive body of the UN, mainly responsible for maintaining international peace and security. Now SC over here does not mean the Supreme Court. We are not doing the judiciary. We are doing the United Nations, the organs. So SC over here means Security Council. So the SC has power to make decisions continuously on behalf of the UN. Composition, it has got 15 members. Okay, the Security Council has got 15 members. 5 are permanent. And which are these permanent members? First one is US, Russia, France, UK and China. These are the 5 permanent members: US, Russia, France, UK and China. Okay, these are the 5 permanent members. And there are 10 non-permanent members. Now, who are these 10 non-permanent members? First of all, they are elected for a term of 2 years by a 2/3 majority. Please write over there 2/3 majority. I have forgotten to write 2/3. Okay, so it is elected by the General Assembly, who the non-permanent members, they are elected by the General Assembly for a 2-year term by 2/3 majority. Each member will have only one vote. And who are these 10 members? 5 members, 5 of these members are from the Afro-Asian countries. 5 are from Afro-Asian countries, 2 are from Latin America, 2 are from Western Europe, and 1 is from Eastern Europe. So we have 5 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1. That makes it to 10. Okay, I've written it so you all can learn that up. Now, what are the meetings? The meetings are once a year, and of course an emergency meeting whenever it is needed. And what do they decide on? They decide on the routine matters to maintain the international peace, etc. Now, how does this voting go? How do they decide? If they are deciding on a routine matter, then there has to be 9 votes. So out of the 15 members, 9 votes have to be for that particular decision. Then the decision is made. Okay. Now 9 votes. If it is an important matter, if the matter is something important, then these 9 votes, the ultimate thing is 9 votes. But if the matter is very, very important, if it's an important matter, then these 9 votes must have all the 5 votes of the permanent members. So who are the permanent members? Russia, then US, then France, UK and China. Okay, so these 5 members, if the matter is important and the resolution is being passed, then among the 9 votes that they get, these 5 have to be present. Okay, they have to vote for that particular resolution. What happens if one of these permanent members says no, gives a negative vote? Okay, that negative vote is called as the veto power. Okay, that is called the power of the veto. And that one negative vote, if that one country also puts, one country who is a permanent member, if he or she puts a negative vote, then that resolution cannot be passed and nobody can do anything about it. Okay. So veto power. The negative vote of a permanent member is called as the veto power. Each of the 5 permanent members has the power to veto a decision. The council is powerless to act if any permanent member uses its veto power. So then the council will not be able to act. Okay. However, remaining, now this is an important point to understand. What does it say? It says that remaining absent means supposing when the voting is taken place, one of the permanent member countries decides to stay absent and they say no, we don't want to come. Now that does not mean that it is negative vote. Okay, so absistence or staying absent from voting does not amount to a negative vote. Okay, so however, remaining absent during a voting is not a negative vote or a veto. Now, what are the functions of the Security Council? We've got a picture of the Security Council. Yes, we've got both the pictures. On 162, we have the UN General Assembly. 163, we have the UN Security Council. Now, I want you all to notice this picture of the UN General Assembly specifically, and I want you all to open your textbooks to the Lok Sabha chamber. Okay, which we had done in our Union Parliament. The Lok Sabha chamber has been given to you. Now just see, there is a difference in the 2 pictures. Though they look very similar, but there is a difference in the 2. Notice the difference for yourself so that you know what is the difference, and when you get that picture, you recognize. Because children, please remember one thing. If you recognize the picture wrong, if the picture is wrongly recognized, all your answers will go wrong. The very first question says, where is this picture from or what is it taken from? If you make that mistake, the rest of your answer is wrong. Okay, so be very particular. So this is the UN General Assembly which we have over here, and the Lok Sabha chamber. We also have the Rajya Sabha chamber, I want you all to go to the Rajya Sabha, that is Union Parliament 2, where we have the Rajya Sabha chamber 207. Okay, we have the Rajya Sabha chamber on page number 207. Now there is a difference in the Rajya Sabha chamber and the Lok Sabha chamber, and between these two chambers and the UN General Assembly. So I want you all to notice all these pictures very, very carefully. You make your own points, you decide how you are going to recognize them. That's up to you. It's no good me telling you that this is a difference. It is like, spot the difference. So spot the differences, see everything together and spot the difference so that you recognize it properly. Okay? Okay, let's continue. So now what are the functions? The functions of the Security Council is to maintain international peace and security, to investigate any situation likely to cause an international friction, and to recommend the methods of its settlement. To take, it's easy, I'm sure you can understand, to take military action against an aggressor, to recommend the admission of new members. So the Security Council is the body that recommends new members to be taken or not. Okay, to determine the threat to peace and to suggest the action to be taken, such as economic sanctions, military action, etc. All this the Security Council will do against the aggression. To exercise trusteeship functions of the UN in strategic areas, to elect independently judges of the International Court of Justice. So we have seen that even the Security Council will elect the judges of the International Court, and we have seen that the General Assembly also selects. Now you have to understand, it is not that these all that the GA and the SC will meet together. They will not meet together. They will do it independently. They will both elect independently the judges of the International Court of Justice. This point is very, very important. It's given in your textbook. When you read your textbook, you will come to know. I have also mentioned it in the notes so that you don't forget that. Okay. So that much for the functions, and let's come to the International Court of Justice. This is your International Court of Justice notes. Got it? That's it. Okay, let's read about the International Court of Justice. It is a permanent judicial. It is the judicial organ of the UN, and its permanent seat is situated at The Hague, which is in Netherlands. Okay, please remember the rest of the organs of the UN are situated in New York. This one, the International Court of Justice, is situated in The Hague, Netherlands. That is its permanent seat, and it began work in the year 1946. That is when it began its work. Okay, now what does it have? The composition, it has 15 judges. Each judge is from a different country. Each judge is for a term of 9 years. Each judge is elected by the Security Council and the General Assembly independently. Then not more than one judge from one country. And now once you are elected as a judge to the International Court of Justice, you become an independent magistrate. You do not represent your country. Okay? So independent magistrates, and they do not represent their countries. The election is every 3 years, where 1/3 of the judges retire. So every 3 years there is a rotation. So therefore, because it's a permanent seat, so every 3 years they keep rotating, and 1/3 of the judges are elected. A judge, however, can always be re-elected. And what are the qualifications to become an international judge? What are your qualifications? Qualifications as required in their respective countries for the appointment to the highest judicial office. So whatever your country has laid down, whichever country you belong to, whatever your country has laid down as a qualification to be able to reach to the highest judicial office, that is sufficient for you to apply for an international judgeship. Okay. Then functions. It has a dual role. Now what is this dual role? It settles the disputes of international law. Now, okay, we'll see that in jurisdiction. So functions. First one is it settles disputes as per international law. That is how it will. That is one of its functions. Then it also gives an advisory opinion on legal questions which are referred to it by duly authorized international organs and agencies. And the member states may appear before the only member state. If you are not a member state, if you are not a part of the UN, then you cannot appear before the International Court of Justice. Okay. Now we come to the compulsory jurisdiction. Now we are coming to the different types of jurisdiction. What are the different types of jurisdiction it has? A large number of treaties provide that the dispute should be submitted to the International Court of Justice. I want you all to mark this point because I'll just give you an explanation on it. See, when you enter into an international treaty, then most of the treaties, most of the contracts, if you have seen a simple agreement or a simple contract, even then you would understand what I'm trying to tell you. In the contract itself, we write that any dispute arising will be subjected to, say, Mumbai. Okay, that means the parties to the contract are agreeing that if there is a dispute, they agree to go to Mumbai court. Okay, that is the way they are agreeing. Or if they say, you can say any court, whichever court you want, of course. But of course, it cannot be that you are living in Mumbai and then you decide on some court which has no connection at all. That cannot happen. There are rules for that. So there has to be connection. So similarly, when you have an international treaty signed, an international agreement being signed, what will happen if the international agreement or the treaty is broken by either of the parties? Then they have a specific clause mentioned over there which says that any disputes arising will be a subject to the International Court of Justice. Okay, so that is what it means over here. A large number of treaties provide that dispute should be submitted to the International Court of Justice. Now I want you all to look at this picture of the International Court of Justice. It's given to you. The International Court of Justice, The Hague. Did you find it? Yes. So that is the picture. Okay, it's very easy. You can easily recognize it. It's given. Okay, the jurisdiction extends to, now what can they judge on? The jurisdiction extends to disputes pertaining to the interpretation of international law and reparation. What is reparation? Compensation to be made for the breach of an international obligation. If you have broken an international obligation, you have to pay a compensation for it. Then it has an advisory jurisdiction opinion. So now the GA or the SC, GA is General Assembly or the SC Security Council. So the GA or the Security Council may ask for an advisory opinion on a legal question. The bodies authorized to request the advisory opinion are the 5 organs of the UN and the 16 specialized agencies of the United Nations family. So there are 16 specialized agencies of the United Nations family. Only they and the 5 organs of the UN, the extra 5 organs. Justice Court, International Court of Justice is 1. The UN has totally how many organs? 6. So from 6, 1 is the International Court of Justice. So the remaining 5 organs and the 16 specialized agencies of the UN can ask a question to the International Court of Justice. Now what is the next thing it can do? It can evolve procedures for peaceful settlement of issues. It recommends not only the method of peaceful settlement but can also recommend the terms of the settlement. So it's not that it just gives you a method and then moves out. No, even the terms can be put down. A member of the UN, of the United Nations, is obligated to comply with the court's decision. Once you have gone to the International Court of Justice, you cannot go back on it and you can say no, now we don't want to accept it. Once a judgment is passed, it is passed and everybody has to go through it. Okay, so with that we come to an end of this chapter. The explanation is simple. There's a lot of learning to be done, children. Please start learning. So with that we have finished the General Assembly, the Security Council and the International Court of Justice. Please go through all the pictures. There is another picture given to you Yes, on that next page, a replica of a stamp issued by UN. Okay, if you can find it. Found it? Yes. So that is a replica. That is a UN stamp. Okay. To unite our strength. United Nations. That is what it says. To unite our means to get all the strength together. So with that we come to an end of this chapter. I finished doing everything with you. Please do answer the questions so that you get the right answers. And if you don't know any answers, you can either ask your school teachers or you're welcome to write in the comments box, and I'll go through them, and if I get a comment, I'll definitely sort out your problem and I'll give you the answer. Either personally or in my next module when I'm doing the question answer sessions. Okay, so with that, here's Himangi wishing you all a goodbye, and do study well, all of you all, and wish you all the best for your ICSE 2027. Start preparing. It's not that difficult. Nothing is difficult. You just have to be motivated. Okay? And remember one thing, children, nothing is the end of the world. Nothing tells your character, your strength, more than the way you conduct yourself. How you conduct yourself, what are your thoughts is very important. Though, of course, getting marks is equally important. So please study hard, and if you study hard, you'll get your marks, because it is always karmanyavadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. It is always do your karma, do your action, the fruits will follow. Bye everyone.